Now, Excel offers 73 different types of charts. One big question is, how do you know when to use what type of chart? Let's open the next file, Chart Types. You can sit back while I take you through some of the different chart types and my recommendations of when to use which chart type. Anytime that you have a time series, that is, you're comparing data over time, it's always best to have the time running along the bottom of the chart. People are used to charts showing time going from left to right. Your option, if you have a few number of points, maybe 8 to 12, is a column chart. I'll hit page down. If you have many points, here I have over 50 years, a column chart would look horrible. You're almost always stuck going to a line chart or an area chart. I'll hit page down. Now, if you're trying to do a comparison that is not time-based, we don't recommend using a column chart. Instead, turn the chart sideways and create a bar chart. A couple of advantages of this. The first is on a bar chart, you have far more space in a landscape chart for very long titles, such as the titles here. You also won't confuse people into thinking that this is somehow a time progression. Page down. Pie charts, unfortunately, are very overused. The only time that you should be using a pie chart is if you need to show a component comparison, if you need to show how components add up to a whole. Now, pie charts are great for breaking one component into many pieces. I'll click page down. If you have 3 components, though, to break into many pieces, we have to use a special kind of column chart called a 100% stacked chart. It's much easier to compare components from year to year to year using this kind of chart than 3 pie charts. I'll hit page down. If you're trying to figure out if a correlation exists between 2 different variables, then you're going to use a scatter chart, also known as an XY chart. Page down. Another statistical chart is the frequency distribution. This allows you to take an entire population, you usually group them into bins. In this case, we're grouping by age brackets that are 5 years wide, and see how many people there are in each age range. Now, if you happen to be in human resources, or if you're a manager who has to do a performance review, this is one place where the radar chart comes in great. There's a few other types of charts that we didn't talk about. There's stock charts, if you're tracking the prices of securities. There's also a very difficult to use chart called a surface chart. This chart shows a 3-dimensional surface, sort of like a topographic map. So before you start creating a chart, you sort of have to figure out what message you're trying to convey. If you're showing a series over time, remember either column or line charts are the way to go. For a comparison between categories that are not time-based, bar charts. If you're trying to show component comparisons, either the pie chart or the 100% stack charts. And finally, for correlations, you'll turn to the XY or the frequency distributions. Some other charts, such as radar and stock, are very specialized, and there's a few chart types that you should very rarely use. And it's not just me saying that. The charting godfathers, the people that write the charting books, Stephen Few, Gene Zelezny, Edward Tufte, are all adamant that the column charts and pyramid charts are misrepresentative. In fact, Edward Tufte has a whole series of books where he pulls examples of misrepresentative charting, and he has a whole chapter on these charts. My note to you is if you choose to use either the pyramid or the cone charts, there's a good chance that you will end up in Tufte's next book as an example of the kind of chart not to use.